The transport shuttle touched down on Station Prometheus with a gentle thud that Hannah Park barely felt. She pressed her face against the small window and watched as the massive military academy came into view. It looked like a giant ring floating in space, circling two bright stars that burned together in the darkness. This was the most famous warrior school in the entire galaxy, and somehow she had been accepted. Hannah pulled her bag close to her chest and stood up. She was small, even for a human. At 22 years old, she stood just 160 centimeters tall, with long black hair tied back in a simple ponytail. Her academy uniform felt strange on her body. The bodysuit was supposed to fit perfectly, but she had requested special modifications. The collar came up high on her neck, covering her throat and upper shoulders completely. It looked odd compared to what other students wore, but she needed it this way. The doors opened, and Hannah stepped into the station. The main hall was enormous, with ceilings so high she could not see the top. Students from dozens of different alien species walked past her. Some had scales, others had fur. Some walked on two legs like her, while others floated or crawled. She felt very small and very alone. Two other humans stood near the entrance. Taeyang Choi was tall and muscular, with broad shoulders and confident eyes. Woo Kim stood next to him, equally impressive. Both men looked like warriors already. They noticed Hannah and nodded at her, but they did not come over to talk. She was glad. She did not want attention. A loud voice boomed across the hall. New students. Form lines by species. Hannah walked to where a sign said, Humans, and stood behind Taeyang and Wu. She kept her eyes down, studying the floor. It was made of some kind of metal that reflected light in strange ways. A massive creature approached their line. It stood over 2 meters tall, with thick reptilian skin covered in dark green scales. Its eyes were yellow and cold. This was a Vorth, one of the most feared warrior species in the galaxy. The creature looked at Taeyang, then at Wu, and its eyes moved to Hannah. It made a sound that might have been a laugh. Another human, it said, its voice deep and rough. And such a tiny one. Tell me, little human, can you even lift a weapon? Hannah said nothing. She kept her eyes on the floor. I asked you a question, the Vorth said, stepping closer. Yes, Hannah said quietly. I can lift a weapon. The Vorth laughed again. We will see. I am Instructor Krell. You will learn to fear that name. It moved on to the next group. Leaving Hannah standing with her heart beating fast in her chest, that the first week at the academy was harder than Hannah had imagined. Every morning started with physical training. The students ran through obstacle courses, climbed walls, and fought in practice rings. Taeyang and Wu performed well. They were strong and fast, and soon other species began to respect them. But Hannah struggled with everything. She was placed in Combat Group 7, the lowest group. The instructor called it the group for students who might not survive the first term. Most of her group mates were from species that were not naturally strong. There was a small blue creature named Pip who could barely hold a training sword. There was a floating jellyfish-like being named Kel who could not understand why anyone would want to fight at all. The Vorth students found Combat Group 7 very funny. During training sessions, they would stop to watch and make jokes. Krixtal was the champion of the Vorth students, the best fighter in the entire academy. He mostly ignored Hannah, but his second-in-command, Vexar, seemed to enjoy making her life difficult. One day during training, Vexar walked up to Hannah while she was practicing with the training staff. "Why do you even come here?" he asked. "You are too weak to fight, too small, too quiet. You should go home to your little planet and let real warriors train." Hannah gripped her staff tighter, but said nothing. "I am talking to you," Vexar said, louder now. Other students stopped to watch. "I heard you," Hannah said softly. Then answer me. Why are you here? Hannah looked up at him. His yellow eyes stared down at her with contempt. I am here because I was accepted, she said. Same as you. Thexar's tail whipped behind him, a sign of anger in Vorth culture. You insult this academy with your presence. Look at you. You hide behind that strange collar. What are you afraid of? Are you hiding scars from previous failures? Hannah's hand moved to her collar automatically, touching the high fabric. For just a moment, something flickered in her eyes, something bright and dangerous. But it passed quickly. I am not afraid, she said. Prove it, Thexar said. Fight me. Right now. Show everyone you deserve to be here. The training hall went quiet. Everyone was watching now, even the instructors. Hannah knew what would happen if she fought him. Thexar was twice her size, and trained since childhood in Vorth combat arts. He would crush her in seconds. But she also knew what would happen if she refused. She would lose all respect, even the little she had. Before she could answer, a voice called out, Thexar, return to your group. This is not challenge time. An instructor approached. She was human, older than Hannah, with short black hair and sharp eyes. Her uniform had the marks of a tactical officer. Her name was Minji Co., and she was one of only 3 human instructors at the academy. Thexar hissed, but backed away. The moment passed, and students returned to their training. Instructor Minji looked at Hannah for a long moment. There was something in her eyes, something that looked almost like recognition. Then she walked away without saying anything. That night, Hannah lay in her small quarters and stared at the ceiling. Her room was tiny, just a bed and a desk and a small bathroom. She was alone, which was how she preferred it. Slowly, she sat up and pulled off her uniform top. In the mirror on the wall, she could see her back. Her entire back was covered in markings that looked like dragon scales. They were not tattoos. They were part of her skin, glowing softly with a blue-white light. The scales moved up her shoulders and neck, covering the areas her collar hid during the day. They pulsed gently, in rhythm with her heartbeat. Hannah touched one of the scales on her shoulder. It felt warm. The glow grew brighter for a moment, then faded again. These markings were her secret, the reason she kept herself covered. They were the reason she had to be quiet and careful, because if anyone knew what she really was, everything would change. The academy would change. The galaxy would change. She put her uniform back on and lay back down. Tomorrow would be another day of hiding, another day of pretending to be weak. But as she closed her eyes, the scales on her back pulsed once more, as if reminding her that she could not hide forever. 3 months passed at the academy, and Hannah's situation did not improve. Every day she trained with Combat Group 7, and every day she held back. She could not show what she was truly capable of. In strategy classes, she excelled. Her mind was sharp, and she could see patterns in battle simulations that others missed. But in physical combat, she remained in the shadows. Taiyang and Wu had become respected students. They won matches against species much larger than humans. Other students began to see that humans could be strong, could be warriors. But when they looked at Hannah, they saw only weakness. She became known as the quiet one, or the small human who should not be here. The mockery grew worse. Thexar made it his personal mission to humiliate her whenever possible. During group exercises, he would pair with her and use far too much force, sending her sprawling. In the dining hall, he would make loud comments about humans being soft and useless. Krixtal, the Vorth champion, watched these incidents but said nothing. He seemed to find the whole situation beneath his notice. One morning, the academy announced a new policy. Any student could issue a formal challenge to another student. If accepted, they would fight in the Grand Colosseum, and the winner would gain rank while the loser would drop. It was meant to encourage competition and give students chances to prove themselves. But everyone knew it would also be used to settle grudges. Hana was walking from strategy class to the training halls when Nexar blocked her path. Behind him stood 5 other Vorith students, all grinning with sharp teeth. "Small human," Nexar said, "I have been patient with you for 3 months. I have watched you embarrass this academy with your presence. No more." Hana tried to step around him, but he moved to block her again. "I am issuing a formal challenge," Nexar announced, his voice loud enough for everyone in the corridor to hear. Students stopped walking and turned to watch. "You and me. In the Colosseum, 3 days from now. By Academy law, you cannot refuse without being expelled." Hannah's heart began to race. This was what she had feared. And the formal challenge meant a real fight, with thousands of students watching. There would be no way to hold back without making it obvious. But if she showed her true abilities, if she revealed what was hidden beneath her collar, everything she had worked to keep secret would come out. "Why?" Hannah asked quietly. "What have I done to you?" Nexar leaned down until his face was close to hers. "You exist," he said. "You take up space meant for real warriors. You make humans look weak. Accept the challenge or leave the academy. Choose now." Hannah looked around at the gathered students. Some looked excited, eager to see a fight. Others looked uncomfortable, as if they knew this was not fair. Taiyang and Wu stood at the edge of the crowd. Taiyang met her eyes and gave a small nod, as if to say she should refuse, that it was not worth it. But Hana thought about all the times she had hidden, all the times she had pretended to be less than she was. She thought about the other Dragon Project survivors back on Earth, still hiding, still afraid to show their truth. She thought about what Instructor Minji had told her once during a private conversation. "You can only run from yourself for so long." "I accept," Hana said. Nexar grinned. "Good. 3 days, small human. I will show the galaxy what happens to weak things that pretend to be strong." That night, Hana sat in her quarters and stared at her reflection. She wore only a simple shirt, and in the privacy of her room, she could see the dragon scale markings clearly. They covered her shoulders, her back, her neck. In the dim light, they glowed softly, pulsing with that strange blue-white energy. She had been 7 years old when the scientists came to her home in the Korean megacity on Earth. They told her parents she had a special genetic marker, something rare. They said she had been selected for an important program that would help humanity. Her parents had been so proud. The Dragon Project facility was hidden deep underground on Mars. 100 children were brought there from all over Earth. The scientists showed them an artifact that had been discovered in the Martian caves, something ancient and alien. It looked like crystallized remains, glowing with inner light. The scientists called the beings who left it the architects, a species so old and powerful that they had become myths. When Hannah touched the artifact, something changed inside her. Her DNA bonded with the energy, merging with genetic memory from a species that should not exist. The dragon scale markings appeared on her skin overnight. With them came strength, speed, abilities that no normal human possessed. But the project was classified top secret. The galaxy could not know what humanity had discovered, what they had become. Now, sitting in her room on Station Prometheus, Hana made her decision. She activated her communication panel and sent a message to the Academy administration. She requested permission to wear a modified uniform for the challenge match, a sleeveless combat suit that would leave her shoulders and back exposed. The request was unusual, but within regulations. After a few minutes, the approval came back. There was a knock at her door. Hana quickly pulled on a jacket to cover her markings before opening it. Instructor Minji stood in the hallway. "May I come in?" she asked. Hana stepped aside. Minji entered, and the door closed behind her. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Minji pulled down the collar of her uniform, revealing similar markings on her own neck, though they were smaller and less bright than Hana's. "I was part of the Dragon Project, too," Minji said. "Generation 1. 50 of us survived the bonding process. I know what you are planning, Hana. I saw your uniform request." "I cannot keep hiding," Hana said. "If I fight him while holding back, he will hurt me badly. And even if I survive, the mockery will never stop. But if I reveal what I am, Earth's government will be furious," Minji finished. "They want the Dragon Project kept secret. They want us hidden until humanity is strong enough to reveal the truth on our own terms. When will that be?" Hana asked. 10 years? 20? How long should I pretend to be weak? Minji walked to the window and looked out at the stars. "I have been teaching here for 5 years. Every day I hide what I am. Every day I watch humans struggle to gain respect, while I know we have power the galaxy cannot imagine. Sometimes I wonder if our leaders are right to keep us hidden. Other times, I wonder if we are just afraid." She turned back to Hana. "If you do this, there will be consequences. But I will tell you what my instructor told me when I was young. Better to live as yourself than die, pretending to be someone you are not." After Minji left, Hana stood in front of her mirror again. She pulled off her jacket and shirt and looked at the full extent of her markings. They covered her like armor made of light. She touched them, and they grew warmer, brighter. She could feel the power inside her, waiting to be released. For 3 months she had been the quiet human girl, the weak one, the one who did not belong. In 3 days, that would end. In 3 days, the galaxy would learn that humans were far more than they appeared to be. Hana closed her eyes and felt the dragon scales pulse across her skin. Fear and excitement mixed in her chest. She had made her choice. Now she had to live with it. The next 3 days passed slowly. News of the challenge spread throughout the academy. Everyone wanted to watch the small human girl get destroyed by Vexar. Betting pools started. Some students gave her 10 seconds before she would fall. Others thought she might last 30 seconds if she was lucky dot on the morning of the challenge. Hana woke early. She put on the modified uniform, the sleeveless suit that left her marked skin exposed. She looked at herself one final time in the mirror. The dragon scales glowed bright against her skin, beautiful and terrifying. This was who she really was. Today, everyone would know. The Grand Colosseum was the largest space on Station Prometheus. It was a massive sphere where gravity could be adjusted and environments changed with the press of a button. Today, it was set to standard conditions with normal gravity and solid ground. Over 3,000 students and instructors filled the viewing areas, eager to watch what everyone assumed would be a quick and brutal match. Hana stood in the preparation room, alone. She could hear the crowd through the walls, their voices excited and loud. Her hands were steady as she checked her uniform one last time. The sleeveless combat suit fit perfectly, leaving her shoulders, back, and neck completely exposed. The dragon scale markings glowed softly against her skin. Waiting, the door opened and Taiyang entered. He stopped when he saw her markings, his eyes going wide. "Hana," he said slowly. "What are those?" "The truth," she said simply. Taiyang stared at her for a long moment. "I did not know. Nobody knew. Are you? What are you?" "I am human," Hana said. "But I am also something more. You will understand soon." Before Taiyang could ask more questions, an announcement boomed through the room. "Challenger Hana Park, report to the arena floor." Hana walked past Taiyang toward the entrance. He grabbed her arm gently. "Whatever happens," he said, "I am proud to call you my fellow human." She smiled at him, a real smile, and then walked through the doorway into the light. The moment Hannah stepped onto the arena floor, the crowd noise changed. Excited chatter became gasps and whispers. Everyone could see her now, see the markings that covered her exposed skin. The dragon scales shimmered in the bright arena lights, moving slightly as if alive. They glowed with that strange blue-white energy, pulsing in rhythm with her heartbeat dot in the Vorath section. Quickstole leaned forward in his seat, his yellow eyes narrowing with interest. This was not what he had expected to see. Vexar entered from the opposite side of the arena. He was twice Hana's size, covered in thick scales and natural armor. His claws were filed sharp for combat, and his tail swung behind him like a weapon. He looked at Hana and stopped walking. "What trickery is this?" He called out, "What are those markings? Some kind of paint meant to scare me?" Hana said nothing. She walked to her starting position and took her stance. Her body was relaxed but ready, completely different from how she moved during training. The referee, a neutral species with 4 arms, stepped between them. "This is a formal challenge match. Rules are standard. Fight until one cannot continue or surrenders. Lethal force is forbidden. Medical teams are standing by. Do both fighters understand?" "Yes," Vexar said. "Yes," Hannah said quietly. "Then begin." Vexar charged immediately, using the standard Vorath opening move. He was fast for his size, crossing the arena floor in seconds. His clawed hand swept toward Hannah's head with enough force to knock her unconscious. The crowd leaned forward, expecting to see the match end instantly. But Hannah was not there. She moved like water, her body flowing to the side. Vexar's claw passed through empty air. The markings on her skin pulsed brighter. Vexar spun and attacked again, this time with a combination of strikes. Left claw, right claw, tail sweep. Each attack was precise and powerful, any one of them enough to end the fight. But Hana moved around each strike as if she knew where it would be before it arrived. She did not block or dodge in any normal way. She simply was not where the attacks landed. The crowd grew quiet, watching something they did not understand. "Stop running." Vexar roared. He attacked with more aggression now, abandoning technique for raw power. He was angry, embarrassed that he could not hit such a small opponent. One strike came too close. Hannah raised her arm to block it. Vexar's clawed hand hit her forearm with a sound like metal striking crystal. The impact echoed through the arena. Vexar pulled back his hand, staring at his bent claws in confusion. Hannah's arm was unmarked. The dragon scales there glowed brighter, as if they had absorbed the force. Something changed in Hannah's eyes. The brown color began to glow with the same blue-white light as her markings. Energy radiated from her body in visible waves. The temperature in the arena started to rise. "What are you?" Vexar whispered. The dragon scale markings on Hannah's skin exploded with light. It was so bright that the arena's automatic dimming systems activated to protect viewers' eyes. The scales spread, crawling up her neck and down her arms, covering more of her body. They formed patterns that looked like armor made of pure starlight. Hannah moved, not with the defensive movements from before, but with predatory speed. She crossed the distance to Vexar in a blink. Her hand shot out and struck his chest plate, a simple palm thrust. The impact created a shockwave that rippled through the air. Vexar flew backward. His body tumbled through the air and crashed into the arena wall with massive force. The reinforced barrier cracked from the impact. He slumped to the ground, gasping for breath. The arena fell into absolute silence. 3,000 students and instructors stared at the small human girl standing in the center of the floor, surrounded by light. Her dragon scale markings blazed like a star, beautiful and terrifying. XR tried to stand, but fell back down. The referee rushed over to check him. After a moment, the referee raised 2 arms, signaling the end of the match. Winner, Hana Park. The silence continued for another heartbeat. Then the arena erupted. Some species cheered. Others shouted in confusion or anger. The Vorith section was in chaos, with students arguing loudly. But through it all, everyone kept staring at Hana, trying to understand what they had just witnessed. Hana stood in the center of the arena, her scales slowly fading back to their normal dim glow. She looked up at the viewing areas and found Instructor Minji. The older woman nodded once, a gesture of approval and support. Then Hana found Krixtal. The Vorith champion was standing now, his eyes locked on her. There was no anger in his expression, only intense interest. He tilted his head slightly, a gesture of acknowledgement. For 300 years, the Vorith had been the strongest warriors in the galaxy. Today, that certainty had been challenged. Medical teams rushed onto the arena floor to help Vexar. He was alive but injured. His pride hurt more than his body. As they carried him away, he looked back at Hana with something that might have been fear or respect. Perhaps both. Hana walked off the arena floor through the exit tunnel. As soon as she was out of public view, her legs began to shake. The power faded from her eyes, and the dragon scales returned to their dormant state. She leaned against the wall, breathing hard. Using that much power all at once had drained her more than she expected, but she had done it. She had revealed herself. There was no going back now. Taiyang and Wu were waiting for her in the corridor. They looked at her with new eyes, seeing her properly for the first time. "That was incredible," Wu said. "I have never seen anything like it. What happens now?" Taiyang asked, more practical in his thinking. Hana straightened up, pushing away from the wall. "Now," she said, "everything changes." She was right. Within an hour, the entire academy was talking about nothing else. The video of the match was being shared across every communication channel. Students from dozens of species tried to analyze what they had seen, how a human so small had generated so much power. In her quarters that night, Hana received a message from Earth. The government was not happy. They wanted answers. They wanted her to explain why she had revealed a classified military secret to the entire galaxy. But Hana deleted the message without responding. She had made her choice, and she would deal with the consequences. As she lay in bed, the dragon scales on her skin pulsed gently. They felt warm and alive, like a second heartbeat. For the first time since arriving at the academy, Hana fell asleep without fear. She had shown the galaxy who she really was. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight she could rest as her true self. The 3 days after the match were chaos. Vexar spent them in medical regeneration, his injuries more severe than expected. The doctors said his chest plate had been cracked from the single strike, something that should have been impossible from a human. While he healed, the academy erupted with questions and demands. The Vorith delegation called an emergency meeting. They claimed Hana had used illegal technology, that no natural being could generate that kind of power. They demanded she be tested, scanned, disqualified from the academy. Other species joined the protests, some out of genuine concern, others because they did not like seeing their assumptions challenged. Commandant Velther was a member of a species known for fairness and wisdom. His people had no interest in galactic politics or power struggles. They only cared about truth. He called a formal investigation and summoned Hana to his office on the 4th day. The office was simple and clean, with windows showing the stars beyond the station. Velther sat behind a desk, his long fingers folded together. He had silver skin that reflected light in strange ways, and eyes that seemed to see everything. "Sit, Cadet Hana Park," he said, his voice calm. Hana sat. She had worn her standard uniform today, with the high collar covering her markings again. But everyone knew what was beneath the fabric now. There are many questions about what occurred in the arena, Velther said. Many accusations. Before I hear testimony from others, I want to hear the truth from you. What are you? Hana took a breath. I am human. But 7 years ago, I was selected for something called the Dragon Project. Earth scientists discovered an artifact on Mars, remains from a species called the Architects. When certain humans touched the artifact, their DNA changed. We bonded with something the scientists called genetic memory from an ancient race. The markings on my skin are not tattoos or technology. They are part of me now. Velther listened without interrupting. When Hana finished, he was quiet for a long moment. The Architects, he finally said. I have heard the legends. Most species believe they are myths, being so ancient that fact and fiction have become mixed. You claim to carry their genetic memory? I do not fully understand it myself, Hana admitted. The scientists explained that the Architects may have seeded life throughout the galaxy millions of years ago. Perhaps humans have some connection to them that other species do not. Or perhaps we were just compatible with the bonding process. All I know is that the markings give me abilities beyond normal human limits. How many others like you exist? Hana hesitated. This was classified information, but the truth was already coming out. 73 survived the bonding process. Most are still on Earth, hidden. A few serve as instructors or in other positions throughout the galaxy. Like instructor Minji Isio. Velther said. So he already knew. Hana nodded. V.E. Thar stood and walked to the window. This changes much. If humans can bond with Architect remains, it suggests a connection that will interest many species. Some will want to study you. Others will fear you. And some will want to use you. He turned back to face her. Your government wanted this kept secret. Why did you reveal it? Because hiding felt like lying, Hana said. Humans came to the academy to prove we deserve respect. But I was pretending to be weak. How is that honorable? If humanity wants to stand as equals with other species, we should do it as we truly are, not as we pretend to be. Velther's expression was unreadable. That is either very wise or very foolish. Time will tell which. He returned to his desk. I will call for full testimony. Instructor Minji will speak about the Dragon Project. Medical teams will scan you to verify your claims. The Galactic Coalition will be informed. This matter is now larger than the Academy. Over the next week, everything Hana said was verified. Medical scans showed that the dragon scale markings were indeed biological, part of her cellular structure. The energy they generated was unlike anything seen in modern species, but it matched some ancient records from Architect archaeological sites. Instructor Minji testified about the Dragon Project, confirming that it was real and that she too carried the bonding. The galaxy reacted with shock. News spread across every system. Humans, the young species that had only achieved faster-than-light travel 60 years ago, possessed a connection to the Architects. The implications were enormous. If the Architects had seeded life in the galaxy, and if humans could bond with their remains, what did that mean for humanity's place in the cosmic order? On the 8th day after the match, a ship arrived at Station Prometheus. It carried Ambassador Jinho Lee, Earth's primary representative to the Galactic Coalition. He was a tall man in his 50s, with gray hair and sharp eyes. He demanded a private meeting with Hana immediately. They met in a secure conference room, just the two of them. Jinho did not sit. He paced back and forth, anger clear on his face. Do you have any idea what you have done? He said. The Dragon Project was humanity's most classified program. It was our secret weapon, our hidden strength. We planned to reveal it when humanity was strong enough to control the narrative. Instead, you exposed it to billions because you could not handle being mocked by some reptile students. Hannah remained calm. I exposed it because hiding was wrong. If we want respect, we should earn it honestly. You are naive, Jinho said. You think the galaxy will respect us for this? Half the species out there now see us as a threat. They will demand we reveal all Dragon Project subjects. They will want to study us, control us, make sure we do not become too powerful. And the other half will want to hire us as weapons, to use in their wars and conflicts. Then we refuse, Hannah said. We are not weapons. We are people. You are soldiers. Jinho shouted. The Dragon Project created you to defend humanity. That is your purpose. And now that purpose is compromised because you wanted to feel strong at school. Hannah stood up, meeting his anger with steady calm. I am not a weapon that Earth created. I am a person who is changed by something we do not fully understand. Yes, I have power, but I also have the right to exist without shame. The other Dragon Project survivors should have that right too. There are 73 of you, Jinho said. 73 humans with abilities that make other species nervous. If you will not follow Earth's guidance, if you insist on revealing yourselves, then you put all of humanity at risk. Or, Hannah said quietly, we show the galaxy that humanity is strong enough to be honest, that we do not need to hide or pretend. Maybe that will earn more respect than any secret weapon ever could. Jinho stared at her for a long moment. Then he shook his head. You are ordered to withdraw from the academy and return to Earth immediately. That is not a request. I refuse. You cannot refuse a direct order from Earth's government. I can, and I do. I came to this academy as an individual student. I will complete my training. If Earth wants to punish me for that, they can try. But I will not hide anymore. Jinho's expression shifted from anger to something colder. Then you are on your own. Earth will not protect you from whatever comes next. You wanted to reveal yourself? Fine. Deal with the consequences alone. He left the room, and Hannah sat back down. Her hands were shaking slightly, but she felt relief more than fear. She had made her stand. Now she had to live with it, but she was not alone. Over the next few days, support came from unexpected places. Taiyang and Wu stood by her publicly, declaring that all humans should support their fellow human. Several non-Vorath species released statements saying they respected Hannah's honesty and courage. Some students who had been dominated by Vorath military superiority for years saw Hannah as proof that the galactic hierarchy could change. Most surprising was when Krikstal himself requested a meeting. They met in a neutral training room, just the two of them. The Vorath champion studied her with those yellow eyes. I have been the strongest fighter in this academy for 3 years, Krikstal said. I have never lost a match. I have never been challenged by anyone I considered a true equal. He paused. You have shown abilities that interest me. I want to fight you. Not to humiliate you, not to prove superiority, but to truly understand what you are capable of. You want to challenge me? Hannah asked. Yes, a formal match, both of us at full strength. You have shown fangs, Hannah Park. Now show me if you have the bite to match. Hannah looked at him and saw no malice, only honest curiosity and respect. This was not like Vexar's challenge. This was a warrior acknowledging another warrior. I accept, she said. News of the challenge spread quickly. The match was scheduled for 2 weeks away, giving both fighters time to prepare. The entire galaxy, it seemed, would be watching. The 2 weeks before the match changed everything at the academy. Hannah no longer hid her abilities. She trained openly, and for the first time, people saw what a Dragon Project survivor could truly do. She moved faster than seemed possible, lifted weights that should have crushed her, and her body absorbed impacts that would have broken normal humans. Instructor Minji became her primary mentor. Every morning they trained together in private facilities, and Minji taught her techniques that the Dragon Project scientists had developed over years of study. The dragon scale markings were not just for show. They allowed the bonded human to access enhanced strength, speed, and durability. But there was more. The markings could channel energy, create protective barriers, and in rare cases, manifest visible force. "You have more potential than any Dragon Project survivor I have seen," Minji told her one morning. "Your markings are brighter, more extensive. The bonding went deeper with you than with most of us. But that also means you need to be more careful. The power can overwhelm you if you lose control." On the 5th day of training, something unexpected happened. A ship arrived at the station, carrying 2 more Dragon Project survivors. Yuna Kang was a pilot in Earth's deep space fleet, a woman in her 30s with markings that covered her arms and back. Hyen Park, no relation to Hana, was a tactical specialist with scales that ran up his neck and face in intricate patterns. Both had been living in secret, but when they saw what Hana had done, they decided to reveal themselves too. The 3 of them trained together, and the Academy witnessed abilities that defied understanding. They could share energy between them, their markings glowing in sync. When they moved together, it was like watching a dance made of light and power. Students from every species came to watch, some frightened, others amazed. The Varath students were divided. Some saw this as a threat to their dominance. Others, like Krikstal, saw it as an exciting challenge. The champion spent his own time preparing, training harder than he ever had before. This was not a match he could take lightly. The news spread beyond the Academy. The Galactic Coalition announced they would broadcast the match across all member systems. It became more than just a fight between 2 students. It became a symbol of change, of old power facing new potential. Betting pools formed on dozens of worlds. Some species bet on Krikstal, the proven champion. Others bet on Hana, the unknown factor. Earth's government remained silent, officially disavowing any connection to the match. But privately, every human in the galaxy watched and hoped. This was their chance to show they belonged among the stars. The night before the match, Hana stood alone in her quarters. The dragon scales on her body pulsed with energy, brighter than they had ever been. She felt power moving through her like a current, ancient and new at the same time. When she closed her eyes, she could almost hear voices from long ago. Genetic memory from the architects whispering in her blood. She thought about the quiet girl who had arrived at the Academy 5 months ago, hiding behind a high collar. That girl was gone. The woman who would fight tomorrow was different. Not because she had revealed her markings, but because she had chosen to stop living in fear. The morning came bright and clear. The Grand Colosseum was set to maximum difficulty for the match. Variable gravity, environmental hazards, no restrictions beyond the prohibition of lethal force. This would be a true test of skill and power. Over 5,000 beings filled the viewing areas. Every screen in the Academy showed the arena. Across the galaxy, billions watched their displays. This was the most anticipated match in Academy history. Hana entered first. She wore a combat suit similar to before, sleeveless and simple. Her dragon scale markings blazed with light, covering her shoulders, back, neck, and arms. Her eyes already glowed with that blue-white energy. She looked small standing in the center of the massive arena, but she did not look weak. Krikstal entered from the opposite side. He was an impressive figure, over 2 meters tall, covered in thick armor scales. His muscles moved like coiled steel. But there was no arrogance in his posture today, only focused respect. He had seen what Hana could do. He would not underestimate her. The referee took position. This is an exhibition match between Cadet Hannah Park and Champion Crickstel. Rules are combat standard. Fight until one cannot continue or surrenders. Are both fighters ready? Ready, Crickstel said. Ready, Hannah said. Begin. Crickstel attacked immediately, but not with mindless aggression. He had studied the video of Hannah's match with XR. He knew she could move like water around attacks. So instead of single strikes, he used combinations, controlling space, forcing her to react. Hannah defended, her body flowing around his attacks. But Crickstel was different from the XR. He was not just strong, he was skilled. Every attack set up the next one. Every movement had purpose. This was a warrior with decades of training. They exchanged strikes for a full minute, neither landing a solid hit. The crowd watched in silence, seeing a battle of pure skill. Then gravity shifted in the arena, one of the environmental challenges. It doubled, making every movement harder. Crickstel adapted instantly, but Hannah stumbled slightly. He pressed the advantage, landing a strike to her side. She spun away, her markings flashing brighter where he had hit. No damage, but the impact had been felt. Good, Crickstel said. Do not hold back. Hannah smiled. I was about to say the same to you. She attacked now, moving with speed that left afterimages. Her fist struck Crickstel's guard, and the impact echoed through the arena. He blocked, but the force pushed him back several meters. His eyes widened slightly. She was stronger than her size suggested, much stronger. They fought for 5 minutes, then 10. The arena conditions changed around them. Gravity shifted again, becoming light then heavy, then normal. Obstacles appeared and disappeared. Energy barriers formed and fell. Through it all, the two fighters adapted and pressed each other harder. Crickstel was bleeding from several cuts. His armor scales had been cracked in places. But he was grinning, truly enjoying this challenge. Hannah was unmarked, but breathing hard. Using this much power continuously was draining her. Then something changed. As Hannah moved to dodge another strike, her dragon scale markings suddenly blazed brighter than ever before. New patterns emerged on her skin, flowing designs that had not been there before. Energy gathered around her body, visible as blue-white flames. From her back, wings of pure light extended. Not physical wings, but constructs of energy. Why shaped by the architect's genetic memory? They spread wide, beautiful, and terrifying. The crowd gasped. Even Minji, watching from the instructor section, looked shocked. This was beyond what any Dragon Project survivor had shown before Hannah felt the change happening. The power was not overwhelming her. It was becoming part of her. The ancient genetic memory and her own consciousness merged, and she understood something fundamental. She was not just carrying architect power. She was becoming a bridge between what humanity was and what they could be. A shape formed around her body, a spectral dragon made of energy. It was not separate from her, but an expression of what she had become. The dragon's form moved with her movements, its power her power. Crickstel stopped attacking and simply stared. Magnificent, he said quietly. Hannah moved, and the speed was incredible. She crossed the arena in a heartbeat. Her strike came with all the power she could channel. Crickstel blocked with both arms, and the impact shook the entire arena. Cracks spread through the floor. But Crickstel did not fall. He stood firm, pushed his limits, and struck back. His clawed fist hit the energy dragon surrounding Hannah, and for a moment, two powers collided. Ancient human bonding and pure Vorith strength met in an explosion of force. They stood there, locked in struggle, neither giving ground. Both fighters at their absolute limits. Both refusing to surrender. The referee watched carefully, ready to call the match if either fighter was truly in danger. But neither was broken, neither was done. Finally, after what felt like forever, both fighters stepped back at the same moment. They looked at each other across the damaged arena floor. Blood and energy dripped from both of them. They were exhausted, pushed beyond anything they had experienced before. And then, at exactly the same moment, both of them smiled. "Draw?" Crystal asked, breathing hard. "Draw." Hana agreed. The referee raised all four arms. "This match is declared a draw. Both fighters have proven themselves." The arena erupted. The crowd's roar was deafening. Students from every species were on their feet, cheering for both fighters. This was not a match anyone had expected. This was legend. Crystal walked over to Hana and extended his clawed hand. She took it, and they shook. The gesture was simple but powerful. Champion and challenger, showing mutual respect. "You are a true warrior, Hana Park," Crystal said. "Your strength is real. Your honor is real. I am proud to have fought you." "As am I," Hana said. "Thank you for seeing me as an equal." The medical teams came to check both fighters, but neither needed serious treatment. They were exhausted, but not broken. As they left the arena together, the crowd continued to cheer. In the days that followed, everything changed. The Academy's hierarchy shifted. Humans were no longer seen as curiosities or weak newcomers. They were recognized as a species with extraordinary potential. The Dragon Project was officially declassified. Earth's government, seeing that secrecy was no longer possible, announced they would train their bonded warriors openly. Hana became the first human to achieve elite status at the Academy, the highest rank a student could earn. Her name was placed in the Hall of Champions, alongside the greatest warriors in galactic history. 1 month after the match, she stood in that hall, looking at her own plaque. Instructor Minji stood beside her. "Earth wants you back," Minji said. "They want to use what you proved. They want to make you a symbol." Hana's dragon scale markings glowed softly. "Let them try. I did not reveal my truth to become someone's weapon. I did it so others like us could live without shame." She looked out the window at the stars beyond. The galaxy thought humans were weak because we came from a quiet world. They forgot that even quiet things can have dragon's blood. 5 years later, the Galactic Tournament crowned its first human champion. Hyan Park fought with his dragon sigils blazing, defeating opponents from dozens of species. In the viewing stands, Hana sat next to Crystal, who had become her closest friend and training partner. They watched together as humanity's flag was raised, as the galaxy acknowledged what humans had become. The age of hiding was over. The dragons had awakened, and the galaxy would never underestimate humanity again.